Hey, so today I want to talk about 2 types of friends that you need to have in order to recover and find your joy again after you're going through abuse and recovering from trauma. So just recently I was talking to someone who is living in her abusive relationship still. She's various circumstances. She's not free to leave just yet. And she's talking about how it is so hard to find a way to just feel like life is normal. And I understand that, because when you're living in that situation, it's hard to feel like you're doing anything but being hypervigilant and just surviving. Now, if you're watching this right now and you want to know more about this, and you know more of your friends would like to know more about this, would you hit share right now and just throw it out there to your friends so they can join in too? That would be super helpful, because we all have something that we're needing to recover from, right? So if you have been going through abuse, if you've been going through trauma, and you're feeling like all you do is just survive, that's because there's this big slice of, like this whole pie, right? And what you're doing is you're using all of this, except for maybe just some tiny little slice, and all of your attention is focused on surviving, hypervigilance, trying to make sure you're safe. And that is as it should be when you're in the middle of crisis. But can be really hard for us to break out of that even after the crisis has passed, because we are so accustomed to feeling hypervigilant and super cautious and careful, and it just starts to become our normal. And it's not healthy for that to be our normal, because then our bodies are like pumping adrenaline and cortisol all the time, and you end up with, I don't know, something crazy like cancer or something. I wouldn't know anything about this, clearly. Of course I do. Ask me how I know. Been there. Lived through it right with you guys. So there are two types of friends that you need to have in your friendship circle in order to be able to really thrive after you've gotten out of crisis. These 2 types of friends, the first type are women who get it, women who have been there, women who have been survivors too, women who understand it and who are not the type that are wallowing in their history, but are who they are, the type that are warriors. They have moved forward into something new in their lives, and they are able to relate to where you are, but also give you hope that you can be healthy and normal and whole again, even after trauma. So that's the type you need first. We find those types in support groups, in things online, like my WILD TraumaMAMAs group, like my WILD Underground Sisterhood group, like other support groups that you go to locally for those who are survivors of abuse, battering recovery, like for women who have been in domestic violence, that kind of thing. Now, the second type of friend that you need are women who have not been through this and are just, not that they don't get it. You're not choosing them because they don't get trauma and abuse. You're choosing them because they are living a normal life. Friends who may not have a clue, and you don't have to talk about abuse, but who you are perfectly free to do the healthy stuff with, the not heavy stuff with. These are the friends you want to go and grab a coffee with, go and just meet up after you've done your grocery shopping for a sandwich, or the ones who have kids and you're letting your kids have play dates together, or people that you find doing intentional life activities. So if you're at a point where you realize that being hypervigilant has taken over your life and you're having a really difficult time trying to break out of your hypervigilance, you need friends that do normal life. And then the question is, how do you find them? So this is where 2 types of friends: women who really get it, and women who don't need to get it because they're the ones you do normal life with. Those are the types of friends you need while you're finding joy and healing again. But I want to give you a simple tip that I gave a client of mine. This one is free to you. I want to give you a simple tip on how to do that because it seems really daunting and intimidating to just like go make a whole new friendship network, right? Who has time for that? Who has energy for that? And besides, it's really scary, right? But here's what you do. This is your strategy for building a new social network. First, decide something that you would like to do that maybe you've never had the time to do before. Quilting, or mucking out stalls at a horse barn, or I don't know, knitting club or book club or a science club or a chess club. I don't care what it is. Something that you've been interested in and you've never given yourself permission to just go do it. Pick that thing. And in a year, you can have a whole new social network if you do this. First, decide what you would like to do just what you would like to do. That's week 1, starting of a new month. So, hey, you could start this in April. Week 1, decide what you'd like to do and where you might like to do it. Week 2, you have one task. Make a call and set it up. Week 3, go do the thing. Week 4, decide what you would like to do the next month and also take a break. And then in week 1 of the next month, you're going to also write down what you learned. Figure out what did you learn from the last engagement, the last interaction, and then make a call to set it up. Week 2, go do the thing. Week 3, figure out what you learned from it and follow up with anybody that you connected with. Week 4, decide what you're going to do the next month. That's one teeny tiny step towards social networking in real life. Of course, you might be socially distancing, so you might do it online right now with coronavirus crazy, but I'm talking about normal real life. Then one tiny step per week, and in a year of doing that, you could have an entirely new, vibrant, thriving social network. Think about it like this. This is a word picture. Do you guys like my word pictures? If you like the word pictures, like the tennis balls and the hiking analogy and these other types of things, would you drop a comment underneath and tell me which is your favorite word picture? Here's a new one for you. New word picture. Imagine that you are going kayaking. You're kayaking, and as you're kayaking down the river, your kayak gets flipped upside down. When your kayak is flipped upside down, do you want someone who's never kayaked before to come along and try to fish you out? Or do you want an expert kayaker who knows what it feels like to be turned upside and drowning to be the one who comes along and rights you? Those are your friends who've been through it and they get it. They're the ones where their kayak has flipped upside down before, but they're strong now. They're not upside down drowning under the water now. They can, and they're outside of your circle, so they can reach over, they can pull your kayak right back up. They may be strong enough to paddle after your lost paddle and bring it back to you and give you your, not oars, but give you your kayak paddle back. And then they're gonna continue in their kayak alongside you until you can pull out and make sure that you've got enough air and make sure that you're not overwhelmed and help you get back in the water when you're ready. Those are your female friends who get it because they're survivors and now they're warriors and they've been through it and they're not wallowing, they're not still upside drowning. They can help you navigate the rafting or the whitewater. But you also need the kind of friends that you can splash in the shallows with, right? You need the kind of friends where you can just take a picnic to the edge of the river. You're not out there in the kayak in the middle of the whitewater. You can take a picnic at the edge of the river and you can totally have a great time splashing in the shallows, just wading up to your knees or whatever. You need friends like that too. They may have never kayaked. They may have never been through trauma before. They may have never done the other types of things that you need an expert kayaker with you for when you're out there in the thick of the whitewater. But you need both kinds of friends because life isn't all made up of just navigating the whitewater in your kayak, and life also isn't always all made up of really great fun Sunday afternoon picnics with your friends splashing in the shallows. You need both. There's my word picture, the whitewater kayaking word picture. That's that one. And I want to encourage you to find friends in both of these categories. If you want to get into my Wild Trauma Mamas Facebook group, it's totally free. It's there as a support group for single moms who are parenting kids through trauma after having gone through all of these types of things. And if you are interested in my Wild Underground Sisterhood group, that's super tight security, so I'd have to get to know you a little bit, hear your story, but it is there, it is for support, and of course, all of our resources, the 3 books that I've written and the ebooks are all on www.wilderness2wild.com, where we work together to guide women just like you out of the wilderness of abuse and trauma and into the wild.